good morning, and thanks, Laura. And thank you all and the Democracy Network for having me. It's an honor and a pleasure being here and being able to talk a bit about local government. So what I would like to do is basically, it's a bit of a three parts. First, I talk a bit about local government in general, not Kingston, but for the whole local government sector, cross-party, hopefully. Then I will give a bit of a local examples from Kingston, what we've done with our citizens' assemblies and our citizen panel. And then in the end, a bit of, again, overall the sector, what could help local government in general in, for the future, how we could devolve democracy from Westminster to local government and local councils. Okay, and you mentioned, Laura mentioned a migrant network. I'm myself a migrant as well. I came to the UK and to Kingston in 2009 and have since 2008 dual nationality. I'm originally from Germany. And next slide, please, James. So local government, what is the role of local government? There are usually some misconceptions also from Westminster and also from the public. You know, it's much more than just bins and potholes. So I would like to make a plea for local government. There are so many statutory roles we fulfill. There are more than 800 services which are provided by local government, and a lot of the statutory ones where we collectively across the country are do's on the ground, do's who deliver. If you're looking at adult social care, it's not central government, it's local government delivering. If you look at children's services, again, it's local government delivering. If it's about taking care of our homeless people, again, it's local government delivering. It's so many things where we are together with our partners in the volunteering community sector, where we are the experts, where we are doing the work on the ground as local government. And we really need the support from central government, the acknowledgement of that role in order to do what we are by statutory are supposed to do. And for all the local government, I mean, it's slightly different from local authority to local authority, but overall, the vast majority, roughly 60% is roughly the benchmark or more, goes in all the local authorities, the unitary ones on adult social care and children. So most of our spend goes into these services. It's really important what we all collectively do here. And then we have the discretionary services, what we are doing, not mandated by central government to do. We need to do it, but we do it. And a lot of things there are really crucial for local democracy, for our residents. If you look at cultural services, if you look at libraries, statutory only need one library in a borough, but usually everybody hopefully still have some more. Youth centers, again, all that provision, everything you do on culture and community cohesion. I think this is really something important. If you talk about local democracy or democracy in general, it's how people feel valued themselves, how they feel connected to the place they live in, if they feel they are part of something bigger, if they feel their life is meaningful, their participation in democracy is meaningful. And a lot of our discretionary services can help there. Cultural offer, celebrating migrant communities, celebrating the diversity you have, taking care that nobody is left behind if you look across ages or ethnicity or cultural groups. Next slide, please. So there are, for local government, a lot of challenges. I mean, you might have heard it recently in the national press, basically every day or every week, at least, we have an article about how dire a situation is for local government. And the Local Government Association is assuming that by 2025, a fifth of all local authorities across England and Wales will be handing in a Section 114 notice, which means they are technically bankrupt. We saw over the last couple of years more and more councils struggling. I'm not naming them, you know them. It is nothing nice. It's nothing anybody wants to be there. And at the moment, many are struggling. And in some cases, you know, they struggle despite making a huge savings, or in some cases, the budget gap for them is so big. If they would get rid of all the discretionary services, do nothing on parks, nothing on culture, nothing on youth centers, or closing all bar one libraries, they couldn't bridge the gap. So it's really, we have years of underfunding of local government. We are facing an increase in demand on adult social care and children's services. We see a surge in mental health issues playing out in children's services and adult social care. Recently, the high demand on inflation, which again has impact on capital, but not capital projects which are shelved or people can't afford. And there's all the other implications. If you don't do the leisure center, which you promise to your residents, that has health implication and mental health implications again. So furthermore, what we saw recently is really a crisis in housing, not just the general crisis we're already in, but on temporary housing. So if someone is unintentionally homeless, we as a local authority have the duty to house these people. And normally we should have enough housing stock to give them a temporary home. But many local authorities relied on private landlords. But the private landlords over the last 1.5 years completely exited the market. So at the moment, we have a shortfall across the country. So many local authorities now need to house their homeless people temporary in bed and breakfasts or in hotels, travel lodges, you name it. And that comes to an immense cost. And you also might imagine it's not something you want to do to families living day to day. They can't cook. They have no proper living room. It's something completely different, living for weeks or months, and you're supposed it's temporary, but it isn't. So there's really a need for additional funding for whoever wants central government to address the shortfalls and the extra demand for local councils. But I don't want to ask only for money at the end. I hope I bring a couple of good solutions or ideas, bringing them back to you what could be done to help local government. Also, the dedicated schools grant is a problem here. You know, you saw the schools budget has risen by 1.5%, and we have a staff pay for teachers, which is much higher. Schools struggling already, and we're battling inflation. So the 1.5, you can ask yourself, is that enough for education? Yes or no? And the next slide, please. Keeping things local. So for me, it's really important if we look at local democracy at a local level, it's important that whoever runs central government to acknowledge that role I tried to picture to you, a local government is playing, the importance of it. And also local government needs to realize that it's better to work with local governments. Central government needs to realize that as partners, you know, if we just get another sort of you need to do this and that way, it's not really helpful across the whole country. It's not local, it's not really democratic, and it also feels, you know, not even like a parent-child relationship. It feels like, you know, you have a super superior peer who doesn't really care about you, and that's obviously, again, not helping. It's translating in sort of how local councils feel, but it also ends up with the residents. You know, they see, do you understand how it works? They feel, you know, their council is powerless. They can't do the things residents would like to see. So it's really important that central government acknowledges the role of local government and sees us as partners, works together with us, because the best solutions are locally. And then again, their local democracy comes in. If you want to listen to your residents and if you want to empower them and give them a feeling that they are listened to and important, it's also important that central government gives us the means. And I try to picture the funding crisis and the financial crisis. Again, we need to do all the statutory stuff, and some even struggle there. Everything else, community cohesion, participation, local democracy, really caring for the needs of residents above the statutory. We need money for that. We need the breathing space to do that. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So really, local solutions is something to empower people, and that's something we would like to ask central government for. Next slide, please. So now I would like to move to a couple of examples what Kingston has done in the past in order to empower local residents. In 2019, we held a citizen assembly, the first in London, on air quality. And so we, back then, had 38 residents who have been randomly selected across demographic categories, so age groups, financial background, ethnic background. So back then, we invested a lot of money to have professionals helping us to run the citizen assembly. And we were absolutely grateful for that. And we had a learning process. So it was really good to hold that citizen assembly, learn from the experts who helped us to facilitate it. And then the next project I would like to introduce, from that learning, we then a bit more cost effective could provide the next step. But on that citizen assembly, so what we've done is over 2 weekends, there was a lot of intense work for those residents who signed up for the citizen assembly. We had speakers, we had experts on all these things. So it was not just a talking shop. People got educated first about all the problems related to air quality, where experts engaged with them, gave talks, they could ask them questions. And then the citizen assembly discussed these matters and came up with solutions. And we started the whole citizen assembly with the aim, telling them this is not, again, just a talking shop. We really value and want to hear what you are coming up with. And from the outset, it was clear that recommendations from the citizen assembly will be translated into council policy. So after the workshop, the citizen assembly members came up with a couple of recommendations, and these recommendations have been presented by the members of the citizen assembly to council. Later on, we had further discussions. I think next slide, please. We had further discussions, officers with the members from the citizen assembly, how to implement them in our air quality action plan. A lot of these measures have been implemented, and they really saw the impact they made. So in the action plan, we have 51 actions, and 21 of these 51 actions came directly from the recommendations from the citizen assembly. And all the others basically came from the GLA matrix, what the GLA recommended on air quality as well. So quite a lot of these actions really came directly from the citizens panel, really empowering the residents. And next slide, please. I hope you can read this. I don't want to go through all of them myself. If you can see it, a couple of the feedback we had on the citizen assembly from residents. Pausing here, so giving you time to look at the comments. So, next slide, please. And then just last year, we moved to the next step. So we are in Kingston, we have a big transformation of our town centre. We wanted a new vision for our town centre, which in June last year we implemented. And in 2002, we started the whole process with a citizen panel. And again, learning from the citizen assembly, again, we selected 40 residents across demographic categories so that everybody was represented from all the minorities, age groups, social backgrounds, academic backgrounds. And over 3 Saturdays, these people engaged with council officers. We had an independent facilitator to chair these sessions. And I had the honor and the pleasure to be part at one of the sessions. And residents had a lot of fun. It was also a lot of work for them, and they really enjoyed. We had a walk about Kingston. It was physically activities there as well, seeing the town centre by firsthand, walking through, having ideas, getting ideas for the vision. Obviously, a lot of desktop work, table work with officers together in bounds in small working groups. And again, all the recommendations from the citizen panel have then featured in our town centre vision. And a lot of ideas came from that citizen panel. And again, they saw, and again, from the outset, we told them, it's really important what you're doing here. We really want to listen. We want to hear these voices which normally aren't heard, which we are as councillors and officers are not coming up with ideas. We really wanted all the ideas. We really wanted to hear what residents said. And a lot of these things have then been translated into our town centre vision. And also, we had further engagement after the citizen panel. We engaged with young people across the borough, with businesses, with developers, but we had the citizen panel first. And I can tell you, some of the other organizations and stakeholders were not too pleased that we went to our residents first, but proudly we did so. And next slide, please. Again, a couple of the feedback I hope it is visible enough so that you can read it properly. And I think if you look at these comments, that's quite positive and shows, giving people a voice matters and showing them that they can be part of democratic processes and that their voices are heard. And also, I mean, you're the experts here. I think I don't need to tell you about placemaking, how people feel related to the place they're living and how empowering that is. And so it's really, really, I think, important to give people that feeling that they are belonging to a place, that they're connected to a place, that they have an impact there. I think a lot of studies show the more happy people about their place, they live happier lives. And again, it's all the implications. If you're happier, you're more healthy in all regards. And there's a short video I would like to show you, not a whole video, but just a couple of voices from the citizen panel.
So thank you so much. What an amazing opportunity to be able to participate in this, and I hope you got as much out of it as we did.
Hi, I just wanted to say thank you for inviting me to be part of the Citizens panel. I found it really fun, interactive, and I felt that we were all listened to.
I love living in Kingston. It's the best place, but it needs to work for everybody. So to be able to get to where you want to go, you need to know where you want to go. So that vision, it helps, okay, this is where we want to go. This is how we want to get there. So we kind of stick to that path. So, and it's great to get, people who live in Kingston give their opinion, views of how they want to see it develop. I think that's a great thing.
So I hope that gave you a bit of a positive feeling about how local residents can be part of decision-making and of journey and taking part in local democracy. So following up on that on the last slide, please. More powers for local government, some ideas. So I try to be sort of modest, not too radical here. Some sort of which I thought might be easy asks or easier asks for central government. And obviously, I mentioned it already, and I hope that came through. Being taken seriously by central government is really an important thing, and that they acknowledged about really working with the local experts, having a proper partnership and seeing us as partners. And then proper funding, like I mentioned it earlier, we saw a net reduction in funding since 2000, since over the last decade, more than a decade. And more and more local councils are struggling, more and more need to get rid of a lot of the good stuff, which they do additionally. And again, community cohesion is something here which is really important, but can't be delivered without properly functioning local government. One solving thing could be allowing local governments more retention of their business rates. So a lot of the money from business rates isn't staying in local authorities, but goes to central government or to the, in the case of Greater London, they go to the GLA. And so there's the benefit if central government would allow a higher retention on business rates for local government. There are two positives, in my opinion. The one positive is obviously more money available for local government to spend on, but also if you retain more of your business rates, there's a bigger incentive for local authorities to attract more businesses in their own area. And I think across the country would all be at the same level playing field if everybody had a chance to work in this field. Then another potentially easy fix or solution is at the moment, from the money central government still gives to local government, a lot of the money is in small pots, which are dedicated only for small things. And that's not really helpful if you want to work strategically. So if we could, as local authorities, get smaller, the money in less pots, not so many small pots, but if we had more autonomy about how we spend the money, then more things on a strategic level could happen. At the moment, really, it's very piecemeal in that regard. And also, I think one important thing is a more equal partnership with the health services and with the NHS. So in many, many areas, local authorities work together with the NHS, but central government usually prioritizes the NHS. If that partnership isn't working, if the NHS is part of the deal, whatever it is not fulfilled, local government is struggling, but central government is favoring the NHS again. Giving you an example, many local authorities are struggling on the dedicated schools grant for special needs children. It's underfunded across the country. Many built up a huge deficit over the years. Kingston's one of them. We had a special agreement with the Department for Education over 5 years as a plan how we reduce our deficit, and we are grateful for the money we received from the DFE. But part of that deal has been in our action plan how we reduce our costs on the dedicated schools grant has been an involvement from the NHS and from the health service. They haven't delivered. So we are struggling fulfilling our plan, and it's not our fault because it's the part of the health service. And again, a bit more equal partnership, and Kingston isn't alone there, would be helpful here. So some ideas, throwing them back at you for further deliberations. So really, I hope I could make a case. It matters for local democracy at a local level, that your councils across the country playing crucial roles are in a position to really fulfill their role to the maximum. Thank you.